Hello, welcome back. Welcome back. So excited for this video because it changed the entire direction of my marriage. I've been married 20 years, and it has been the most pivotal thing in our entire existence, besides having children and all of those things. But understanding certain things at a different level, it has been just absolutely incredible. One thing I want to share is out of respect for my partner, he is quite private and our relationship is quite private. So I will not be sharing any personal stuff around our marriage and our relationship, but I am going to deep dive into certain things that can really help you. And so today I really, really want to speak to how astrology can help you see your partner more clearly, understand their patterns, understand their emotional capacity, understand their emotional processing, understand how they communicate. And this isn't to fix or to label them or to put them in a box. That's not what astrology is about. And it is about being more aware, being curious, understanding certain patterns. So I have a training background in shadow work as well. So everything ties back in to the nervous system, into the past and into our past lives and the capacity we can hold things, right? Just because there's going to be certain placements, people do certain things they create certain personas and maybe living in their ego. And so it's understanding that if you're committed to growth and evolution, then this video is going to be for you, and know that everything is raw and unfiltered, and you're going to hear creaks and probably my cat at some point, maybe my children at some point. And so let's dive in because this is a really, really, really exciting topic. And when you allow it to marinate in your body and be curious and to have your little light bulb moments and your aha moments and wow, I can't tell you how many wow and mind blowing aha moments by understanding my partner's birth chart. It will blow your mind when you allow it, when you really take a step back, when you really want to understand someone and be like, why do you do the things that you do? And you go and look at certain placements and certain aspects, and you're like, you're lost for words, is what it is. And noticing that they might not be fully aware of why they do the things that they do. And they might want to understand themselves better. I've been talking to my husband about astrology for like the last 4 years, and we just keep uncovering more and more and more. It is not a like a one time read. It is a journey. Like most master astrologers are still learning. They still have their unique systems and the way they look at things, and they are still learning things about astrology and how things work because everyone reads it differently. Everyone looks at it from a different perspective. And I look at it from a different perspective and another person. And so I always bring my training from shadow work into astrology because I love to understand why people do things. I love to understand their psyche on, why they think the way they think, why they behave the way they behave. And of course, none of it excuses, abusive behavior or anything like that. I'm very, very connected to that astrology is not excuses. It's not excuses for the way you behave. There are shadow parts and there's the higher part. And so if we're operating in the lower part, in the shadow part, your lower self, it can be very toxic, and we all can be. But when we slowly start to embody our higher aspects, our higher self, we notice that the shadow self had the grip. And I feel that this is such a pivotal moment for those of us who are a little bit older, who, are hitting their 40s, over 40s. And maybe it's an age thing, but we really, really start to pull our heads in. Some people a lot earlier, and that's very dependent on their chart as well. So let's dive into their sun sign. The sun sign is one of their core identities. It's very out there. It's very ego driven. And so if you've got a partner that is a Sagittarius sun, that's a fire element. They're going to be their ego is going to be very out there. And so a Sag sun will like their freedom. They will like to have fun. They will like to explore. They like to play. They're very passionate. They love to learn. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. And so it's very expansive, right? Very expansive. And so very dependent on what their rising sign is, what their moon sign is. Sagittarius, every placement has a shadow and a higher place as a higher aspect. And so understanding that, the Sagittarius can be very egotistical. It can be very not too caring about others. But if we're pairing it with the moon, let's say we have a moon in Capricorn, they're going to be very driven by their work. Their emotions are going to be tied into working and providing and doing all the things. And if they feel they're not doing that, then it's, their emotions are going to dip and all of those things. Or they have a Scorpio moon, they might retreat. They might take a step back. And we can often take that as a place of rejection. Oh, they're rejecting us. I just want to help them. But if you know someone with the Scorpio moon, they're likely to retreat. And that's their way of processing. And so if we feel triggered by that, it's up to us to look at why we're feeling triggered. Do we feel abandoned? When someone's processing a lot of emotion, the last thing they need to be doing is also making sure you don't feel abandoned. And so this is where the independence comes into a relationship, is understanding that not every emotion is your partner's job to fix. And knowing yourself can help that. Doing the nervous system work can help that. Doing your shadow work can help that. And we stop being so reliant and dependable on our partner for our emotional needs. And yes, we are human beings. We do need the connection. We do need the emotional support and all of that. But there comes a point where it can become very messy. And let's say their rising sign is Taurus, right? So you've got sun, fire, and you've got earth, earth. So the earth placements, they like grounded, they like stability, they like to feel the earth. So when you've got someone with a Sagittarius sun who likes to explore and do all of the things, and then you've got double earth, yes, they might like to explore and do all the things, but they need that solid place. They need the stability that they can come back to. And even knowing this and talking to your partner about it, your rising sign is that one of the higher points of your chart is what you aspire to look into, embody, embrace. And it's also who you become naturally, right? And so if someone has their, let's say their south node, which is the lower self, but also such a gift. It is the karmic, it is the past, it is maybe perhaps past lives. Someone's got a Scorpio south node, they're going to have a Taurus north node. So you've got water and earth. What's the shadow of Scorpio? They can be perhaps a little manipulative, a bit shadowy, a bit repressed, a bit inner. And the Taurus, when we go into the higher part of Taurus, luxury, it's ruled by Venus, luxury. Scorpio is ruled by, the underground. And so when we going into Taurus, we're going into Venus. Venus is all about harmony, beauty, peace, luxury, stability, the finer things in life, not messy. And so when we understand that that's how we've been playing, we slowly become aware and we can go, okay, how can I bring more of this down here and into this and experience this? So understanding not only yourself, it is so important to understand yourself as well, but to understand your partner and not trying to fix them. It can really show you deep insights on their home core wounding, how they process emotions, how they communicate. What's their Venus in? How do they want to experience love? If they have a Sagittarius Venus, they're going to want to play and be explorative, joke around. They're going to want to have those deep conversations about life, like all of it. It's a really fun placement. And understanding that, you don't have to morph yourself, but you can give your partner that little bit of extra oomph in their life and in your relationship because you understand them. And it's not in a way to manipulate them to be closer to them. That's not what this is about. But it is about these opportunities to see the energy differently within your partner and noticing how they process emotions when things feel really hard. What do they do? Noticing those things. They're a Scorpio moon. They might go really inwards and distance themselves. And it's up to us not to take that as rejection. If they have a Gemini moon, things might be a little bit more, they might like to talk it out. They might like to process it by verbalizing it. Or they might be inwards. They might be having the inner dialogue and noticing that that's how they are. They're so unique. And these different energies can really help you. It's like the secret sauce in your relationship is understanding your partner's astrology because it can change everything. It can absolutely change everything. And I know a lot of astrology is talking about transits and things like that, and that's not my jam. I like to work with personal charts and look at things and get to understand you as an individual and how you work together and how you work separately. And if you watched my children astrology video, it's all about uniqueness and celebrating each other and how everyone processes things and how everyone goes about life. If they have big, heavy placements in their 10th house, in their identity house, in their sort of career-ish house, they're going to be heavily focused on that. Or if they've got big placements in their 6th house, they're going to be wanting to be of service more. And how are they going to be of service? Whether it's to someone else, whether it is to their business or their job or to you, looking at their service placement can be a really, really cool thing. 12th house is all the unconscious. So knowing if they have huge placements in there or maybe a stellium, their internal world can feel like it's churning. Maybe they have a lot of placements in their 9th house, the big travel, the philosophy, the higher learning. They might love that. And so noticing these little things, and when you look at their chart and you look at them as an individual and what they've been doing, it's like the biggest light bulb in your head. And you can understand their wounding from home in their 4th house. They might have Sagittarius ruling their 4th house, feeling like the black sheep, like they don't belong, feeling really disconnected. And so knowing that can really, really help you understand their, their inner world, especially around home life. What's ruling their 3rd house? The house of communication. But where's Mercury? And understanding that can really, really help. I have Mercury in Scorpio, so I love talking about I love talking about the deeper stuff. Mercury rules my Scorpio rules my 3rd house. And so that's what I like to talk about. But I also, Libra rules my Mercury, so the planet itself. And so I'm very diplomatic. I see both sides of the story, um, which can feel very wishy-washy to people. But to me, that's how I communicate. I see your side and I see his side. How can we cut the noise and focus on, just getting to the root of it, just clearing things out, talking about it, and coming to an understanding. And I love talking about the beauty of things and seeing the smells and all of that. And so noticing all of these different things within yourself and your partner can really, really help you move forward in your relationship. And if you were triggered by your partner, I've got my notes here because I wanted to make sure I touched on what I wanted to touch on. If you're triggered by your partner and how they process, there is a time and a place for you to contemplate that trigger within you. If they need to recluse to process emotions, some people don't talk about their emotions. Men is especially difficult, let alone what's ruling their moon sign. So they might be very, very internal and they might need a while to process it. They might not want to talk about it straight away. And so for this week, just take notice. How are you processing things? How are they processing things? And just contemplate, journal, write it out. When you feel that they have the capacity and you feel you have the capacity, you can talk about it and bring this forward and understanding what is playing out, what archetypes are playing out within your life. So I hope you've loved this video. It is so fun and explorative to actually know your partner on a soul level. It is so interesting. I never really understood or got into it until I started studying my partner's chart. And I was like, wow, you just can't make it up. You really, really can't. And same with myself, and same with my children. You literally can't make it up. And so just be curious. If you're feeling triggered, what do you need in the moment? How do you need to express it? What do you need to do? What do you need to do? You might need to take a break. You might need to journal. You might need to talk to someone about it. And so just be curious as to what's going on in your chart. And if you like this, love this, please comment. If you have any questions, please comment. Please share it out because it is such an interesting topic and it's such a topic that I could talk about for so long. So I hope you all have an incredible week and I'll see you on the next video.